All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott from Jeff Teaches Programming. And the last time I came at you here, I was going through some additional queries that I was running on a sales order database. The problem that we have thus far is we haven't done anything with databases with C#. We're going to change that right now. Now, the first thing I'd like you to do, if you haven't done so already, you probably have not, is to, and I'm going to close this because I want to do it right from the start. Go over to here, and whether you've got Visual Studio 2022 or 2026, it doesn't really matter. I've got both of them on here, but I'm going to go down to my Visual Studio installer and open that up. And if you do have them both, you want to make sure that whatever you're using to create your databases, like I'm using Community 2026. All right, it tells me I've got an update available. I'm not going to touch that right now, but I'm going to go to modify. And the reason I am is I want you to double check, because when we started this thing a long time ago, I said you should have ASP.NET and web development, .NET desktop development, and this is the important one here, data storage and processing. If you've got that, you should have SQL Server Data Tool should be checked here, and the .NET Framework should be checked there. If you've got that, that's a great start. All right? Now, there's different ways that you can do this. I want to mention this. I could go right into my project here, and I could go to View, and I can go to SQL Server Object Explorer. All right, but that's not really where I want to go right now. I'm going to go to View again, and I'm going to go to Server Explorer. Now I can go here where I am right here, and for example, I can go in and I can right mouse click on this somewhere in here, and I can create a new SQL Server database. All right, it asks for my name, and usually you can put either localhost in or just a period, and it'll take that. Now, I would recommend in here, keep it at use Windows authentication. If you use SQL Server authentication, you will have to provide your username and a password every time. Now, if other people are going to be using it, then that would make sense to do this. But since it's just me here, I'm not going to. Now, my database name, I want to create a BMI database. So I'm going to see here, I'm going to call it for now BMIDB. And I'm going to click OK. Now, it came back, unhandled exception occurred in a component. All right, index was out of range. I'm just going to click continue here. Now I'm going to try to change this to localhost. See if it takes that. I don't know if it will or not. I might get the same error. All right. It says create this is not responding, which of course isn't a good thing. A network-related or instance-specific error occurred. The server was not found or is not accessible. Okay. I'm going to click OK again. I'm going to cancel this, and I want to see, this looks like it's my server right here, so it might be the name. I don't know, but I'm going to try that, and we'll see if that works. So again, I'm going to right mouse click on here on data connections and choose add or create new server. So for the server name, I'm going to try putting what's here, which is desktop -M1 J4BEF. Yours won't be the same thing. All right, it doesn't look like it likes that, so I'm going to come in here. Let's put in the database. So we'll put in here again BMIDB, and I'm going to click OK. I have no idea if this is going to work or not. I might get the same exact error I got before. I'm doing this live, so you can see if I'm having problems with it, hopefully why I'm having some of the problems I'm having. All right, same error. So there is another way to do this, and actually what I'm showing you now is not the recommended way. So I went out to this site right here. I'm going to leave this up for just a second. https://red9.com/blog/Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio SSMS. SSMS is SQL Server Management Studio. That's another way that you can create databases, and a recommended way. This is it here. This is the same URL I just showed you. So what is SSMS? It's the primary tool for managing Microsoft SQL Server. It's a free application developed by Microsoft. Why use it? Full feature support. There's a unified interface. All right. These are the requirements. I'm not going to read those to you. Now, I may have a problem here because my .NET framework might be 4.7.2. I think it is. So I may have a problem with that. So this is SSMS21, which is the newest. All right. So it says here, go to install from Microsoft.learn. So this is learn.microsoft.com/en-us/ssms/install/install. All right. It says it's installed with the Visual Studio installer. I didn't know that. All right. It says download this installer and then run this file, pick any optional workloads, etc. All right. I'm going to try that. So I'm going to right mouse click on here. I'm going to open this up in a new tab. There it is. So there it is. That's the same file. vs_ss_ms.exe. If this doesn't work, I'm just telling you right now, there's a very good chance you're never going to see this video, because if it doesn't work, I'll just have to go out and try something new. It says we need to set up a few things so we can configure the installation. All right, getting the installer ready. Again, I could get errors anytime going through this. Now it says, do I want AI assistance? No. Hybrid and migration? No. Business intelligence? No. Code tools? I don't know. It says, while improving collaboration. I don't know if I need any of these, to be honest with you. Let's go to individual components. Language, installation locations. I'm just going to click install. All right, it's got Management Studio 2022. Like I said, if this doesn't work, if I get an error that I don't have the right version, it says before you get going, save all your work. Well, I've got this project open, so let's close that. All right, so I'm going to say continue. like I said, so far so good. This could easily blow up at any time. I'm a little concerned because this hasn't moved for a bit. There it goes. And this may seem like a waste of time. I'm 12 minutes in already. Actually, this could be one of the more important lectures that I have here, if it all works. So again, just kind of to review where I got all this stuff, basically. This is from learn.microsoft.com/en-us/ssms/install/install. And the other document was from red9.com blog, red9.com/blog/microsoft-sql-management-studio-ssms. All right, just so you know and have some kind of an idea what's going on here. All right, it's getting up there. Again, there's all sorts of problems that I could potentially have with this. And it's funny because maybe you've heard this kind of thing before where a doctor gets invited to a party and people come up to him or her and say, hey, I've got this problem with my back, or I've got this, or I've got that. Well, if the person isn't a medical doctor but has a doctorate in something else, they're not going to be able to help you very much. The reason I'm telling you that is I get calls from family members and stuff all the time. Hey, can you help me with this? I'm having problems with my computer. I try, but I'm a software person. I'm not a hardware person. Never claimed to be a hardware person. So, all right, it says it's finishing up here. When this gets all finished, if I don't have any errors, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to here, done installing. All right, we recommend restarting Windows to clean up any remaining files. I'm not going to restart it now. All right, but I am going to come here and I'm going to see if I have SSM. Let's try it again. SQL. So Microsoft Server Management Studio 18. And I'm hoping at least that I have that now. Try this again. There it is. All right. So I'm going to start Visual Studio back up again. I'm going to bring my project back up again. There it is. It was the green one. We'll know real fast whether or not it's the right one. You get this thing that comes up occasionally, signing into Visual Studio. You never really should have to. So there it is. Okay. So now, there was the SQL Server Object Explorer, but I don't want that now. I want to see SQL Server Object Explorer. Okay. Let's see if I'm able to come in here now and create a new database. I have no idea, A, whether or not this is going to work, B, which is the right one here, etc. All right, I'm going to just try the top one. I'm going to right mouse click. I'm going to try to add a new database. All right, it's a new database name. Well, let's go for it. BMI database. All right, it even tells you the location. Oopsie, didn't want to do that. Now, why am I doing this? What am I doing? Well, you saw that already, but I'm going to come in here. That's where it's saving it. All right, users, JP Scott, app data, local, Microsoft SQL Server, local DB instances, Microsoft, you see it all. Yours, of course, would be different, but I'm going to try this and I'm going to click OK. Now, I'm looking here and it's got a boatload of databases. And this is all stuff that I did in the past when I was teaching full-time. So don't worry about any of it. The key thing to look at is right here, BMI database. All right, there are no tables in it right now. All right, but the database was created. All right, I got to check my battery. Hold on just a minute, please. All right. Sorry about that. I plugged it in, so hopefully it's working now. So, what have we done so far? All right. We went into SQL Server. We downloaded it from the site I told you about. All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and attempt to create a table. Remember, databases are made up of tables, which are made up of records, which are made up of fields, which are made up of characters. All right. So let's see if we can create a table. Add new table. Well, this is going to be, okay, you can see that what's in here. By default, it calls it table, which of course I don't want. So I'm going to call this BMI person. And call it whatever we'd like to call it, okay? But that's just what I'm going to call it. Now, this field right here is our primary key. And I'm going to change it to person ID. All right? Again, it's our primary key. All right. Why does that matter? Who cares? All right. Remember, a primary key is a unique record identifier. What we're going to be attempting to do now is to actually save when we go in and we create this stuff. We want our data to persist. All right. So I'm going to come in here and you can see the primary key. You can see the stuff that's in here. All right. There are no foreign keys in here. There are no indexes in here. And the key that we have is just what's shown right here. All right. So right now it's showing us that if we were, this is the way our table looks right now. We've got a person in there. They have an ID. And that is literally all that we have in there right now. So what else do we need? Well, we need everything, that we had. We can either create it up here or we can create it down here. All right. I'm going to just do it up here because I think it's a little easier to see up here. And it'll come in down here in just a minute. So I want to put in first name. And it's going to be of type nvarchar. What does that mean? That means it's a variable length character field. All right. And I'm not going to allow nulls. Then I'm going to put in another field, and it's going to be last name. It's also going to be an nvarchar 50. You can change the size, but that's okay. All right. Now, remember the other things we had in here where we had first a height. And I'm going to say that that is going to be an integer field. I think we've got int in here. Let's see if I type in int, if it takes it. Int, there it is. And again, that can't be null. And after that, we're going to have in weight, which again will be an int. And again, we're not going to allow that to be null. So what we have in here thus far is this. We created a table. The table is called BMI person. The table right now has 5 fields in it. All right, it has a field that is called person ID, which is our primary key. It has a first name field, which is a variable length character field. Maximum of size 50, cannot be null. Last name, same thing. Height is an integer field, cannot be null. Weight is an integer field, cannot be null. We have 2 more. We have a BMI and we have a BMI status. All right. Now, a lot of books will tell you what I just did here with BMI, making that like I did, all capitals is not a good thing to do. And I'm not even going to disagree with that. Now, I don't think there's a double in here. I can try typing in DOUBLE. It's not finding anything. All right, so I'm going to make this a float. And again, I'm not going to allow nulls. All right, and then finally, I'm going to have the BMI status. Now, we know with our BMI status that we have, for example, overweight, underweight, etc. Okay? So this is going to be another nvarchar, but let's just, so you can see it, and we're not going to allow nulls, but let's just cut this one down. All right, we have what? Optimal weight, I think, is the biggest one. OPTIMAL space WEIGHT. So let's say 20 characters. How about 25? That should be plenty big. So that is our table that we have in here. All right. Now, the only thing that I would like to do in here, let's see. Clicked update right there, and it's preparing an update script for me. and it's telling me it wants to create this table. All right, and I'm going to say generate script. You don't have to say this, but that's what it's doing. All right, it created that script for me. Okay, and I don't really care. I can get rid of that. I'm not even going to save that. All right, but I'm going to tell it to update again, and I'm going to say update the database. So I now should, and I want to change this, I want that to be not null. All right, plus I want to go in here, and when you look right here, we've got what? We've got BMI status, column, etc. Let's go to this one. This is the person ID. This is our primary key. All right, and in here, I right mouse clicked on it, and I chose, was it quick actions? I don't remember now. Okay, let's try it again. Switch to design pane. I want to come down here and I want to find this thing called identity specification. It's near the top, and I'm going to click on it. And where it says is identity, I want to change it from false to true. And I want to change the increment to 1 and the seed to 1. What that means is, and unfortunately I set it up to BMI status, so it's on the wrong field. All right, so let's get that out of there. Switch to design pane. Get that out of there, because I want to do it on the primary key field. All right, so where we've got identity specification, let's set that back again to false. That should fix everything. But I want to do it here on the person ID. So switch to design pane. I don't want status. Why is it doing it on that field? Everyone is going right back to status. I'm not sure why, but I want this to be basically an auto increment field. Snippet, outlining, copy, paste, snippet, force from the cursor, breakpoint, switch to design pane. And it's not giving me the right field. Oh my goodness. Well, there's table. Identity column should be person ID. All right, so it's saying that's our identity. And I want that, still isn't the right one. I want this to be a 1, 1. I don't know if it'll take this. 1, 1. I don't know if it'll, yeah, it's giving me an error. Doggone it. That needs a comma. All right, turned off for a minute while the clock was going. Let's go back to here where we've got keys, primary key. Let's go to properties. Primary key, person ID. Can we get to, no. All right. Yeah, see, it keeps going back here. Primary key. Sort order assigning, yeah, that's fine. I'm trying to reset this. Oh my goodness. Well, for now, I'm going to leave it the way it is. All right, so I'm going to click update again, tell it to update the database. All right, now we'll know real fast whether or not this worked. Okay, what do I mean? I'm going to close this. All right, I'm going to go back again to my project, my view, and my SQL Server Object Explorer. There is, right there, DBO, database object.BMI person. There's the columns. There's the primary key. It did do an identity increment and a seed at 1. Well, that's good. It did it for me. But I can look at any of those now. So I have been able to go in and create the database. All right, I'm 30 minutes in, so I'm going to stop right now. Back shortly.